Hi everyone, just trying to get my microphone in proper situation. It's bouncing around today. Welcome back to the Spirit Lounge. Hope you guys can hear me. Just checking the microphone is on. So today's video going live is going to be pretty short. I'll probably try to do another one straight after this. It's on a prayer, which is actually short, one slide. So we'll just go straight into that because it's quite an interesting prayer and I actually quite liked it. And very appropriate for the period in Canada and the US with Thanksgiving, although it's not really about that Thanksgiving. Okay, so where are we? This is the prayer of Thanksgiving. It's a very short chapter, 2 pages in total. It's the end of the Discourse of the 8th and the 9th from the previous video we did. The chapter before this, it's like the end of that. It's a prayer that the disciple and the teacher gave as thanks to what was received during that chapter. Remember, they went through the 8th and 9th realms from the lower 7th heavens, as they're described. And the conclusion is really the final stages of what they call a complete movement, astrological, theological, occultic movement from ignorance to knowing, in short. And it's got 3 gifts of mind, word, and knowledge, and we'll discuss those as we go through the prayer. Okay, so the prayer is one slide, and it's what you can see here. So let me just quickly go through that. Okay, this is the prayer the day being the teacher, the disciple from the 8th and the 9th chapter, the chapter there, offered. We thank you. Every soul and heart reaches out to you. O name free of trouble. What does this mean? It's for me, this is interesting because they didn't explain this, the authors didn't explain this further, free of trouble. Free of trouble is non-physical. It's the divine, it's the non-physical, it isn't even the spiritual. It is just the all that is. It's free of all that ails manifested existence, or all possibility that could exist, does exist, will never exist, all possibility of the universe. And so it's free of all that the divine has manifest. The divine is free of that, the burden of that, because it's this realm of possibility, it's a realm of free will. So this is what it says. This is for me what it means by "O name free of trouble." It's very interesting to couple of words there, a few words there. Honored with the designation God, praised with the designation Father. To all and all things come fatherly kindness and affection and love. Absolutely, I totally agree with that. Again, what does this mean? To all and all things come fatherly kindness and affection and love. Well, it's the breath of life. It's the breath of the divine spirit, which is the breath of life. It's the only thing that truly exists within the realm of grace, is that divine spirit. And that is the fatherly kindness. It's the kindness of life, of the breath, which actually is really a thought. So it's not really breath that inspires spirit. It is the thought from the divine that brings a spirit, energy, encompassing the aspect or the fractal of the all into being. And that is encompassed within the kindness and the affection of divine grace. And if there is a sweet and simple instruction, which is divine guidance, it grants us mind, word, and knowledge. Now this is kind of indicating a passage from mind, word, and knowledge. Word and knowledge are one of the same. They are described differently here, but they operate in complete synergy and coalescing together. Mind is where we have to move away from, but we use that mind as a processor. And we'll talk about that shortly a little bit more. And the knowledge is the book that I described in many videos in the past. The knowledge is the book. The book is an energy of light. Light is information. When people talk about love and light, what is that? Well, love is love. Light is actually information. Light is energy. Energy is information. Light is information. Everything in the universe is is aspects. It's knowledge, in other words. It's knowledge. Everything that surrounds us is an aspect or derivative of knowledge. Therefore, light is knowledge because it's energy. Energy is in all that exists. So that's what that means. So knowledge is a book, and that's the energetic book within you. So I was told this a long time ago when someone read my Akashic records a couple of times. Wonderful reader. She doesn't do it anymore. And she talked of a book in both of the readings. Just explain this, that she's reading this energetic book. Fine leaf pages, like an ancient, old, leather-bound book, and colours and light and energy. And what that was metaphorically describing was information and ancient wisdom within that book that is available to all who are in frequency of its receipt. Now, we all have access to this book. This is the divine book. This is the divine of all knowledge that exists, that could ever exist, all manifest information from divine source itself, available to us in energetic form. We can metaphorically describe that as an energetic book with energetic fine leaf pages. And that is what this is describing. Knowledge is ancient knowledge that's available to us in this universe from the divine. We all have access to it, but we won't always access it because of the nature of our frequency and the use of mind. And I'll describe that when I finish this. It says the book, mind that we may understand your word. Your word is the connection with the spirit. The word is the logos, the divine logos, the divine word, the divine presence. It's the spirit, in other words, which is the access. If you're not accessing the spirit or reconnecting with the true self, you cannot open the divine knowledge unto self. It doesn't come knowledge doesn't come before the reconnection and coalescing and synergy with the spirit itself. That we may interpret you. So that what's that saying, that we are spirit. The word is the spirit. The interpret you is the divine spirit. The you is the I. The divine I is the Godhead, the source, which is interpret you. You means God itself, the grace itself. Knowledge, that we may know you. This is divine knowledge for us to understand that which we have now understood, we are connected to, understood that we are part of. And that is the divine book I described earlier. We are happy, enlightened by your knowledge. We are happy. While we were in body, you have made us divine through your knowledge. The thanksgiving of one approaching you is this alone, that we may know you. The thanksgiving of one approaching you. This means the one approaching you is the one who seeks the divine, who seeks knowledge, who seeks to understand what they truly are, seeks to understand the true I, is the one approaching you. The one approaching you is the one. It's not the physical self, remember. Nothing is physical in any ancient text. Always manifest them through spiritual lens, if you like, rather than physical lens. There's no physicality really in any of this. And so the one is actually the I, the person, the spirit approaching. The person is approaching the spirit, and then we're coalescing with that divine, approaching the grace through the word. You have made us divine through your knowledge. So this is essentially saying, sorry, I'm missing page. The thanksgiving of one approaching you is this alone, that we may know you. We have known you. Light of mind, life of life, we have known you. Womb of every creature, we have known you. Womb pregnant with the Father's nature, we have known you. What do these three lines mean? Light of mind, that means illuminated of mind. Light of mind means information into the mind. Light is information from the word, the access of the word and divine knowledge. Light is the mind receiving greater knowledge, wisdom, and then the mind processing it within the material self, the vessel itself, for us to then understand and be able to move forward in our journey and path to translate what it is we receive. The mind is the processor. It's always a processor. It's never the master. Life of life. The spirit is the life of life. It isn't this body. It isn't the auric field or the soul energy part of us, which is the outward consciousness. It is the spiritual force that leaves and that enters, that animates us. This is grace itself, which is the life of life. We have known you, a womb of every creature, womb pregnant with the Father's nature. This essentially saying that the true I is born of and from the Father, born of and from, and is an aspect, a fractal of the divine, which is also eternal constancy of the Father who conceives. So we have worshipped your goodness. So what is he saying is that the infiniteness of the infinite, the eternity of the infinite, is unceasingly manifesting. The eternal constancy of the Father who conceives is that everything is constantly emanating from the center of grace. And through the laws of the universe, these things are manifesting outward, constantly creating, transforming, and destroying. And through that, expanding all possibility into form, into bodies of universes, galaxies and solar systems, planets and bodies, and life. Everything is life, in other words, really. But conscious life, as in vessels, sentient vessels like this. But planets are also sentient. Stars are also sentient. The universe is sentient. The earth is sentient. A blade of grass is sentient. A grain of rice or sand is sentient. The tiniest subatomic particle of life in every aspect is sentient. Everything lives. Everything has auric field. Everything has consciousness. Everything is aware of itself, but has limitations of its awareness by the form in which it takes, remember. Okay, one favor we ask. We wish to be sustained in knowledge, which is continual growth. One protection we desire, that we not stumble in this life. I love that last statement because it's perfectly describing that the spiritual journey that many embark upon is not an easy one. It's actually the hardest path and the hardest challenge you'll ever have, will ever go on, because it's an eternal one, and it confronts us ourselves with ourselves. There are not many who have the strength to want to confront themselves and truly abolish and destroy all egos, paradigms, ideologies, philosophies, theosophies, everything they've ever known, everything they've ever think they are, even their intelligence or intellectual pedestals they place themselves on, and egos. All has to be transformed away. For to truly go on the path, you have to enter it as a newborn. It's almost virginal in terms of energy. You cannot hold physical aspects or humanness of yourself of any kind. You have to let go of all these things. You have to shed that which you believe that you are, to allow what you truly are for you to reconnect with it. In other words, allow the grace, the things that you don't see, through perfect faith and persistence, to come and rejoin with you through yourself. In other words, you're reconnecting and rejoining with yourself. But that requires you to shed everything that you believe and think that you are, everything that we believe and think that we know, everything that we believe and think that is real, all has to go. We have to be open to allowing all those things to dissipate from ourselves, because they will be challenged. And this is what it is, that we not stumble in this life. Because the spiritual path is asking us to move forward as fast as we wish it to be. That transformation can be slow, can be laboured, or it can be strong, and it can be fast. That is up to us, and it depends on the previous things I said about us shedding what we think that we are. Become innocent, not naive, but become innocent in terms of allowing the divine to guide and to challenge, be open to challenging every aspect of self. And stumbling in this life means to achieve as much as you can in this life, to remove ultimately the moksha, as they say in Hinduism, the need, or remove oneself from the cycle of rebirth. Make as much of this life in your spiritual path as possible to require you to have less lives in the future, to fulfill what needs to be fulfilled, to cease needing to be in existence at all, and just to begin energetic grace for eternity. It's to return into the whole point of life is to look into the mirror and address the challenge which you see, and to emanate back sufficiently enough that which is divine through every action, through every thought, through every tension, through every grace. That is our challenge, and the challenge is the reflection in the mirror. It says, when we prayed and said these things, they embraced and went to eat their sacred bloodless food. This is vegetarian food, non-meat. Interesting subject there. Listen, there is no. People say, well, should we not? If we're going to be spiritual, we should stop eating meat. I admire anyone who can be vegan or vegetarian or whatever it is, or cutting out actual fish and animal product. That's a choice. You may still eat meat. Listen, I eat meat. I eat chicken. I eat fish. This doesn't mean I'm less spiritual than someone who doesn't. In fact, I can assure you that is not the case. It's a choice. Because remember, they say, well, we shouldn't. If an animal is not cared for, they do have the vibration within the food, and then you consume it. If the animal is not loved and cared for, not given open space, not living a wholesome and fulfilling life, then it will hold, if it's in fear always, in confinement, in short spaces, and eating terrible food and always in fear and always knowing that something terrible is about to occur, then it will hold energy there. And you consume it in the meat, that's of course. But it is a choice. And do you remember, meat eating doesn't mean you're a bad person or that you can't be spiritual. It's not the case. You eat less and less meat. You'll be actually naturally drawn towards eating less. It's not because of any virtuous thing. You'll just be naturally drawn towards it. But just remember that everything has auric field, everything has presence, everything knows what it is. Everything knows what it is and knows what purpose it is going to be before it actually is something. So yes, there is energy passed on, but it doesn't mean that you don't have to eat meat if animals are cared for correctly. There is less of that. But pulling out some grass from the ground also kills the grass. You're killing a living thing. Anything that you do in life is you're impacting a living thing. A sentient thing, albeit sentient in its form, in its capacity. In its form, the capacity of its expression is directly related to the form that it has. But it's sentient. It's alive. Every molecule in this mouse is alive. It's formed into this mouse. Everything that exists around us is alive. And it's sentient. And so I don't espouse to looking at meat eating as a negative thing. If that's a choice you wish to make, then make it knowing some of the effects that it could have, but also knowing and understanding what it is that you're consuming, where it's coming from at least, if that's possible within the budgets that people have. We live in a reality. And, one other thing is we all sit on leather chairs, we have leather belts, we wear shoes, we wear trainers, sports stuff, equipment, we have leather in our cars. Where does all that come from? Something's always having to die for something else to consume it. So there is no self-righteous, virtuous nature in meat eating. It's just a choice. Choose whatever you want to choose for your own purposes and reasons. But do not think that just because you've chosen something, it makes you more virtuous and self-righteous than someone who does not. Because the spiritual path is not more virtuous if you do so. Because actually, you'll just be inclined to eat less meat just because you'll be drawn away from less and less meat as time goes on. And so, as I said, I'm not self-righteous or virtuous in anything I do. There are spiritual realities, and these are real. Self-righteous virtuous spirituality doesn't hold any place for me. So just make your own choices according to those things. Okay, so I'm glad you enjoyed that. It's very, very short. I'm going to try to do the next chapter today as well. So again, thank you for listening. Become your own second coming. Become that which you're asked to become. Don't just practice things virtuously, just as Mahanji would say, is become that which you seek or wish to become, or which you're seeking internally. Otherwise, it's just a virtuous act. It's just a self-righteous virtual act of various practices, and it doesn't fulfill anything. And again, if there's anything I can do to assist anyone, please let me know on spiritlounge333@gmail.com or the Facebook Messenger in any way. And I want to say thank you so much for you guys for listening. I'll just put myself back on camera, and I think say thank you again for all of your time, and look forward to seeing you again, or being live virtually with no one there, but sharing this book further with you and other videos. So I just want to actually also thank some of the comments that have been made recently. They are wonderful comments. I'm just trying to remember some of the names. I apologize that I don't remember all the names. Let me see if I can find the name on there. It won't take me 2 minutes to find. I'll have to find the name. Excuse me a second. But some of the comments.
So Adobe's latest release of Premiere Pro.
Some of the comments that I've had recently were wonderful. I'll find it on there. I'll say thank you to you on the next one. I want to say thank you for your comments, because it does make a difference to me when people do comment and tell me what they're getting out of these videos and what they'd like to see as well, and what they're extracting from them personally, because it makes a very, very big difference to me. It makes it worthwhile to know that it's reaching anyone and that you're getting something from it. So I thank you both, two of you, Lotus and sorry, I forget the other name. I will remember it. I remember it like a goldfish today on the next video. But thank you for your comments. I will do some interlude videos, and I'll be talking about the void in that one, in the first one, the origin of all things. It's going to be an interesting one. It may not be what you think you're going to hear, but I need to work on that one to make sure there's some nice slides and graphics for you guys, rather than just me rabbiting on camera. Okay, so thank you so much, guys, for everything. I appreciate it. Thank you. Enjoy your weekend, and God bless.